Hello, Amber here, and welcome to episode 3 of Design Tales, my new podcast where I talk about tales related to my knitting designs. Today I have a pattern to share that I want to talk about that won't be published for about 6 weeks, so it's a bit of a preview episode to help you plan in the hopes that you'll join us for a knit along. This will be my annual June solstice knit along, which is summer solstice for some and winter solstice for others. And for the past few years, I've enjoyed creating a pattern for us across the hemispheres to knit together for the summer solstice cowl. The last couple of years I've had mystery cowls for this, and the year prior to that I had a design called Solstice Shawl, which kind of inspired me to start having an annual solstice cowl. The solstice shawl was designed with 21 mini skeins, and you could use either DK weight or fingering weight for that pattern. There's 2 options there, which was to encompass both hemispheres. The DK weight was for winter solstice, perhaps for us here in the southern hemisphere, and the fingering weight for those enjoying summer. And that goes on to be one of my favourite designs. I have also added it to the annual December festive knit along because it uses the mini skeins and is perfect for those countdown kits. It uses 21 minis, although you could always add more if you had a 24 or 25 mini set, so you could have a longer version of that project, and that works beautifully. So that was the first year of solstice. The following year I was inspired to have a mystery knit along, and that was the Ocean Moon cowl. Ocean Moon had a couple of options as well. All were fingering weight, but there was an option to use mini skeins to work the intarsia motif or not, and there were a couple of variations for the final lace, so you could work a simpler lace or a more complicated lace. So it's kind of a choose your own adventure cowl, and I guess that inspired me for last year's knit along, which was very much a choose your own adventure cowl, which it was called this or that, A or B, shawl or wrap. So the first choice was that you could choose between a shawl or a wrap, and then each shawl or wrap had 2 paths, A or B. Clue 1, you could choose path A, and then clue 2, you could choose path B, and so on. So there's so many possibilities with that. Essentially, there were 4 standalone patterns which are released individually afterwards, and the shawl and the wrap each use the same motifs. So path A for the shawl and wrap were focused on organic circular shapes, flowers, and B was diamonds for both of those. It was essentially the shaping that was the difference between the shawl and the wrap. And that was very ambitious. It was probably one of my most ambitious designs. It was a lot of fun. I loved the idea of the choose your own adventure. I always loved to see options, people being able to be creative within my designs and the colours they choose and how they vary it to suit themselves. And so it was fun to take it to that level with the this or that. And for this year's cowl, I decided to keep it simpler and keep it to 1 design and 1 weight of yarn. It does have 2 options, so there is a little bit of variation there, and you can always play with colour. There's plenty of colour possibilities with this. And this year's design is called Neon Sunshine, and I'll show you one of the variations, which is the square. So very 80s retro sun vibes there, which was what I was going for. When I started thinking about this year's solstice knit along, I immediately started thinking of the sun, that the sun would be lovely to incorporate into a design. Although that said, I did have another idea prior to that. When I designed the Aurora Hunter's shawl, I thought that I might create a version of that was a wrap version, and that would be a good solstice knit along. And maybe, I think I was originally going to have both of those for the solstice cowl, so it would have been the Aurora Hunter solstice cowl. But I got really excited about the Aurora Hunter shawl and couldn't resist publishing it earlier. So that came out earlier, and I haven't created the wrap version of it, although I did create 2 sizes. There was the larger Aurora Hunter and then the smaller version. Pin in that. Perhaps I'll come back and revisit Aurora Hunter for a wrap version. Maybe let me know in the comments what you think. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link to all of the patterns I have just mentioned below. Each of those designs I'm proud of. They were really exciting and challenging to create and fun. It's always exciting to share it, and usually, well, especially with the mystery knit-along, I have to wait until the clues come out. So I'm very excited to share Neon Sunshine with you today. So after I realised it wasn't going to be Aurora Hunter, that's when I started thinking about sunshine motifs, which seems perfect for a solstice theme knit-along. And I started thinking about some of the retro sun images, initially thinking the kind of 60s, 70s sun rays, suns, and started Googling images. And that's when I was reminded of the 80s kind of sunset themed suns. And because it was summer at the time, researching that, because it was summer when I was looking, and lots of surfing and the retro summer vibes very much in the air, I felt quite excited by that sun. So I started developing the design for it. Without meaning to, 2025 seems to be the year of intarsia for me. First up with Snaggletooth Shawl, which my first video talks about, followed by the Aurora Hunter, which is also very approachable intarsia. You're only ever juggling 2 balls of yarn at once, so it's not complicated and chaotic. And then stretched more with my recent design, the Bliss-Bloss shawl, which I also just created a video of, which is a lot more of a juggle. And yeah, although that said, there were people in my test group that knit that as their first intarsia project and loved it. So it's partly a state of mind. I mean, the techniques are knit and purl. It's just about how you're managing yarn. That's the tricky part with intarsia. And so here I am with my 4th intarsia design. I'm not sure if there'll be any more. Oh yes, I have another one in the works. And again, this I think is a perfect beginner intarsia project. It's very approachable. You do have 3 skeins of yarn to juggle in this one each of the main colour on either side, and then just 1 colour for a number of rows in between. So it's slightly fiddly, but very approachable and doable. The pattern includes both charted and written instructions, which I don't always do for intarsia patterns, but I wanted to make this one really approachable so that people who shy away from chart-only patterns would feel encouraged to try this. And I think with so many stitches, you know, it can still be helpful when you're working from the chart to be able to refer to written instructions as well, and vice versa. So the pattern includes both of those instructions. And again, the pattern won't be published until Solstice, June Solstice. So that's June 20th. So it's about 5 or 6 weeks away that the pattern will be published. Today's episode is really to talk about colour, technique, the knit along, and hopefully get you excited to join us in June. Currently the pattern is being tested and we're just starting that process, so I don't have much in the way of test projects to show you yet either, but very soon we'll be seeing a beautiful array of neon sunshines, or maybe ochre sunshines, or I mean, I got quite excited when knitting this, thinking that these could also be planets or moons, that you could really just have a lot of fun with what you're creating within that circular shape. Or really lean into the 80s sunset sun vibe. So many possibilities. So I started with the rectangle version, a bit of trial and error, and came to 8 sections for each sun. Initially, I played around with that number a few times, but I think this was my happy place. And I wanted to use, my aim was for the widest part to use half of a 20-gram mini skein, so that in the case of this, where I have used a total of 12 mini skeins over 24 stripe sections, I could use each mini skein for 2 sections, which I've done here. I've used 2 yellow, 2 of that green, and so on. You can also use 24 mini skein. So if you had a 24 skein advent set or something like that, you could use a single colour for each and knit a 24 colour creation. And then you could knit 2. So the widest parts use a bit under 10 grams for each there. And then the smaller parts, like this tiny little bit here, it's more around 6 grams for that little section. And I used 8 different colours for my single version here. So I was inspired by the yarn as well. This yarn is from Tarina of Love and Speckles Yarn, and she dyed this kit called the Carrington Event Kit for the Aurora Hunter's Shawl. So she was inspired by the Aurora Hunter's Shawl to create this kit. And when I saw that kit, I was inspired to buy it. It was really beautiful and I could see myself using it. I ordered that, and I have used this colour yarn from Tarina. I knew it would be a really good match with this kit, so I ordered a couple of these as well, which is, which I can't remember the colourway name off the top of my head. It is all in the pattern information, which will be available and linked below, so you'll be able to find out that information as well. So I ordered a couple of skeins of that, which I'm glad I ordered 2, because it turned out I did need almost the 2 for this main colour. When I ordered them, I didn't know what I was going to make with them. I just knew I really wanted that in my stash to do something with. So it all flowed, starting to think about the suns, thinking about what colours to use, having the perfect colour in my stash from Tarina's yarn. I got to work and started with this, and that's essentially why I went with 12 colours instead of 24, because that mini skein kit had 12 colours. That said, it is satisfying to use up a lot more of the 12 colours. I still, if I'd used 24, would have had half a set left, which is not a bad thing. You could make 2 of these or use half the set for something else. You can, it's always satisfying to get a few projects out of those festive sets. So that's the yarn for this one. And then this one, I was thinking about it earlier today. It's quite an international collection of yarn here, which is fun. So it's all stash. From my stash, when I had finished that one, I thought, oh, a square would be a really cool option as well. That would be fun to wear a smaller square version of this. It does vary slightly to make it more square than rectangular. The cast on is more, so there's more stitches cast on and a different number of rows worked at the top and bottom. Apart from that, the sun motif is the same, and yeah, it's the same, just slightly different stitch counts and repeats. You're obviously not repeating. I mean, you could also make a wider wrap version using the cast on that you would use for the square. It's also a possibility. So with this one, the International Neon Sun, I have a base colour from the Wandering Flock, and then 2 other colours here from the Wandering Flock, who are US-based dyes. I have this gorgeous neon green from Dystopic Fibres in Scotland. These 2 are Labine Amy from France. And this is the Walker collection, who are in Germany. This is also Tarina Knits, who's in Australia. And finally, this top one is Hedgehog Fibres in Ireland. So Ireland, Scotland, a couple of European countries. We've got France and Germany, Australia and America represented here. So that's a bit of fun. So yeah, it definitely is perfect for diving into your stash and using up some of those little mini skeins that you've got, or mini partial leftover balls that you've got from other projects. So it could be a souvenir neon sunshine. Before I sat down to film this, I filmed a little styling video. I'll add that to the end of this. So there's a few tips and ways to style both the square and the rectangle version of neon sunshine. And hopefully that will help inspire you also to knit one of your own and join us in the knit along. The knit along will be held in my Ravelry group from now. I'll open up a pre-Cal thread, a chat thread, and that's a place where everyone can just talk about ideas for yarn, project, themes perhaps, if they do want to go with planets or suns or whatever. Some very chatty birds out there today. Share yarn, talk about ideas, and we'll probably have some yarnies pop in there and talk about some kits that they have. I know Tarina from Love and Speckles has already created a kit, and Koigu Yarn are planning to create a kit, so there'll be yarn dye kits as well. And of course you can dig into your stash or some of those minis, break open some of those minis you've been saving. Anything goes. So the knit along will officially start June 20 Australian time, and will run for about a month and a half. I'll put all the dates in the thread, and yeah, at the end, finish your neon sunshine project, post it in the finished object thread, and you'll be eligible to win a prize. I'll have an excellent prize or two, depending on how many participants we have. The more people, the more prizes. Post in the FO thread for the chance to be in the prize draw and win a prize at the end of it. And yeah, just join us for some fun. Very relaxed, but you know, it's a really lovely, helpful group of people. If you're feeling like you want some inspiration for colour or just some moral support, or even with the technique, you'll find lots of excellent people there. To help with planning, I have set up a pattern page on Ravelry with all the yarn details, needles, information, and I'll also have that on my blog as well for those who don't use Ravelry. You're welcome to join us on social media, on Instagram with the hashtag Neon Sunshine Shawl KAL. I'll type that out below. I have a very mellow Facebook group. Not a lot happens in there, but people are there. So if you want to hang out and post your neon sunshine over there, you're welcome to do that as well. So I'm looking forward to June 20 when we all cast on and have a sunny knit along together. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments below, or if you have any suggestions that you'd like for future episodes, let me know. And otherwise you can reach out to me via my email or socials. The pattern will be published just before the KAL starts on the 20th of June. The pattern will be published, and I'll have a nice little discount code for the first few days, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. And the best way to keep an eye out for that is to sign up to my newsletter, and you'll get a newsletter letting you know when the pattern is released and the code. You can sign up also in the links below or at my website, Ambah, ambah.co. Pretty easy. So today you might notice I'm in a different background. I'm upstairs. Normally I film in my studio, which is down in the basement, and it's a bit dark, so I've been trying to work out lighting down there, and I know it got a bit blown out last time. So today is an overcast day where I am. There's a lot of natural light. This is all natural light. if it's really sunny, it's too bright up here as well. So it's not the perfect solution, but it was an overcast day today, so I thought I'll come up and see how it works up here. And during winter, it'll be generally a better place for me to record. And you can see I'm surrounded by my other hobby, which is plants. Lots of indoor plants. I'll be back again next week with a new design that I'm excited to share, and it will be published then. You'll be able to get your needles straight into that one. And it's a cute little palette cleanser project, so you'd easily finish that before the Solstice knit along. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the styling tips that I'll have next. And until next time, happy knitting. Styling tips. I've been playing around with these quite a bit in my photo shoots and figuring out lots of cute ways to wear both the rectangle and this square. With the square, I found folding it in half and making it more a kerchief is very versatile. So you can feature a particular side of colours and wear it bandana style with a single or double knot. Or even a little shawl cuff. And then flip it for the other side. Bright colours. Then you could tuck that tail in and make it a bit narrower. And that creates a few more options. More of a cowl tie around. You can wear it as a headscarf. Then fold it in half this way. And again, you could fold it in half again. And I found using a shawl pin or stick to secure that makes a nice little cravat style shawl. It can also be worn as a small shawl. So again, the triangle shape. Let's go this way. Over the shoulders. Tie or pin it at the front. So there's a few options for the square. And then for the larger version, the rectangle, it makes an excellent scarf, worn a few ways. So you can fold it in half, and that will give you a couple of effective ways to wear it. Quite like this, where you've got two different coloured halves of the sun. That can be worn relaxed you could use a shawl cuff to hold it in place. And then a different effect is changing which side. So you've got the halves facing out. And again, you can tie it together. You could then wrap it around another time and wear it as a nice big cozy scarf. Perhaps use a cuff here. So it's big enough to be a wrap as well. Nice big cozy wrap around your shoulders. But you can then, again, use a shawl cuff or something to fasten at the front to keep it in position. Wrap, tie it up at the front. You can also, again, fold it in half. Birds are very raucous. And then take the ends through and thread it through the loop for a cozy, perfect for under a big coat kind of scarf. So yeah, there's plenty of ways to make the most of your beautiful neon sunshine.